Welcome, seekers of knowledge. Today we dive into the depths of two contrasting yet intertwined concepts, barbarism and culture. These terms, like many, have their roots in the ancient world, specifically within Greek philosophy. Barbarism, as it was originally conceived, referred to anything that fell outside of the Greek ideal of civilization, which encompassed both ethical and aesthetic values. This concept was embodied in the Greek principle of kalokagathia. This principle, fusing the words agathon, meaning well-being, and kalos, signifying beauty, represented an indissoluble unity of moral virtues and physical beauty. Culture, on the other hand, represented the embodiment of these ethical and aesthetical values, a counterpoint to barbarism. It is the framework within which we understand and appreciate the principles of good and beauty, as defined by kalokagathia. Now that we've established the foundation of our discussion, let's journey through the annals of history to understand these concepts better. History is a mirror, reflecting the evolution of ideas and concepts like barbarism and culture. As we trace the arc of time, we find that these concepts have undergone significant transformations, shaped by the societies that birthed and nurtured them. In the cradle of civilization, the ancient Greeks, we find the genesis of these ideas. They held a principle called kalokagathia, a term that bound the ethical ideal of well-being, agathon, with the aesthetic ideal of beauty, kalos. This concept represented a harmony between moral virtues and physical beauty, a cornerstone of their cultural identity. Barbarism, in contrast, emerged as the antithesis of these ideals. The ancient Greeks saw the barbarian as an outsider, a threat to their societal norms. This figure was perceived as the inhabitant of wilderness, shaggy, unclean, uneducated, peculiar, and aggressive. The barbarian was, in essence, a person who did not conform to the Greek ideals of ethical and aesthetic value. But as the wheel of time turned, so did the understanding of these concepts. The advent of new philosophical ideas, scientific discoveries, and cultural exchanges reshaped the perception of barbarism. Today, the modern barbarian is seen as an individual who deviates from the norms of law, morality, and ethics within civilized society. This person is considered rude, vulgar, perverted, atheist, and fanatical. The modern barbarian is also associated with aesthetic inadequacies, seen as erratic, inauthentic, grotesque, and incompetent. These evolutions in the concept of barbarism have mirrored the changes in societal norms and values. As societies evolved, so did their understanding of what constitutes culture and barbarism. What was once considered barbaric may now be part of the cultural norm, and vice versa. This fluidity of concepts is a testament to the dynamism of human societies. But it's crucial to understand that these concepts are not just simple labels. They carry weight, shaping how societies view and interact with those deemed as others. They influence laws, social structures, and even personal interactions. They can create divisions, but they can also spur dialogues and foster understanding. In this light, barbarism is not just a concept. It's a social construct, a reflection of the prevailing societal norms and values. It's a mirror of the society that uses it, reflecting its fears, prejudices, and aspirations. It's a measure of how far we've come as a civilization and how far we still have to go. So as we delve deeper into the history of these concepts, let's keep in mind that they are not static. They continue to evolve, shaped by societal changes and cultural shifts. They are a testament to our collective journey as a civilization, a reflection of our struggles and triumphs, our hopes and fears. History tells us that the concept of barbarism is fluid, changing with societal norms and values. As we continue to evolve as a society, so too will our understanding of these concepts, and perhaps in understanding their evolution, we can better understand our own. Barbarism and culture might seem like polar opposites, but they are deeply connected. This connection is rooted in the very fabric of human consciousness and our understanding of ethical and aesthetic values. If culture represents the positive principles of well-being and beauty, as encapsulated by the Greek principle of kalokagathia, then barbarism stands for negativity, for what lacks these values. To understand this complex relationship, let's take a step back and revisit our historical understanding of barbarism. The ancient Greeks viewed the barbarian as the outsider, the one who spoke a foreign language, worshipped different gods, and followed different societal norms. This outsider was seen as a threat, an embodiment of the ugly, the lawless, and the immoral. Fast forward to the present day, and the concept of the barbarian has evolved. The modern barbarian, if you will, is seen as an individual alien to the norms of law, morality, and aesthetics. They are depicted as rude, vulgar, and erratic, representing elements of ugliness and impropriety. But here's the catch. This modern understanding of barbarism is not separate from culture. Rather, it's a reflection of it. Barbarism and culture are in an antagonistic relationship, each defining and contrasting the other. Each act of barbarism we witness is a mirror held up to our culture, reflecting its inadequacies and contradictions. There are two types of barbarism that we need to consider. Strong barbarism, which is destructive and opposes culture, and weak barbarism, which, while still destructive, confirms culture and embeds it in our consciousness. The former differentiates itself from culture, while the latter, in a sense, strengthens it. This dichotomy between barbarism and culture, between the good and the bad, the beautiful and the ugly, is at the heart of our human existence. It fuels our actions, our thoughts, and our understanding of the world. So, we see that these concepts, while opposing, are two sides of the same coin, each defining the other. Barbarism, much like a coin, has two sides, strong and weak. These two faces of barbarism represent different impacts and relationships with culture, contributing in their unique ways to its understanding. Strong barbarism is what we traditionally think of when we imagine barbaric acts. It is the force that exists in stark opposition to culture, not adhering to ethical norms or appreciating aesthetic values. Just like the Greek depiction of barbarians as foreign, threatening, and unrefined, strong barbarism is seen as destructive and negative. It is the unlawful individual, the immoral entity, the one who disrupts the harmony of society. This form of barbarism challenges culture, often leading to destructive consequences, and through this opposition, it emphasizes its own definition. However, there is another face to barbarism, one that is less overt but equally influential in shaping our understanding of culture. This is weak barbarism, a subtler, more insidious form that can easily blend into the fabric of society. Unlike its stronger counterpart, weak barbarism does not directly oppose culture. Instead, it subtly undermines it through the proliferation and replication of undesirable elements within civilization's progress. Instead of a clear outside enemy, weak barbarism represents the internal decay that can occur within a culture. It's the undercurrent of vulgarity, the subtle erosion of ethical norms, the gradual acceptance of what was once considered grotesque or inappropriate. It's the imposter that looks and acts like culture but lacks its genuine substance. While strong barbarism differentiates itself from culture, weak barbarism confirms it, placing it firmly in the consciousness of the individual. These two faces of barbarism, strong and weak, offer a more nuanced understanding of the concept. They show us that barbarism is not merely an external, easily identifiable force, but can also be an internal, more subtle influence. They reveal how barbarism can both oppose and confirm culture, highlighting the complex dynamics at play. Understanding these forms of barbarism gives us a clearer picture of how it interacts with and impacts culture. As we conclude our journey, it's time to reflect on what we've learned about barbarism and culture. We started with the Greek principle of kalokagathia, embodying the unity of ethical well-being and aesthetic beauty, and how it influenced our perception of what is positive. We saw how barbarism emerged in the ethical and aesthetic context, forming the elements that constitute the development of human consciousness. We traced the evolution of the term barbarian from ancient Greece, where it referred to foreigners who were seen as threatening, unlawful, and uncultured, to the present day, where it is used to describe individuals who deviate from societal norms of law and ethics, and are considered vulgar, immoral, and fanatical. We then delved into the intricate interconnection of barbarism and culture. They exist in an antagonistic relationship, fueling each other's definitions and shaping the positive and negative actions of humanity. It's fascinating to see how these two seemingly contradictory concepts are so intrinsically linked, like images in parallel mirrors. We also differentiated between strong and weak barbarism, where the former has a destructive qualitative aspect and directly opposes culture, and the latter confirms culture, placing it in the consciousness of the individual. This distinction is crucial in understanding the dynamic of barbarism in the contemporary world. Reflecting on these concepts, we realize that barbarism is not just the absence of culture, but a mirror that reflects the norms and values of a society. It is a concept that evolves with time and varies across societies, influenced by the changing norms and values of civilization. As we wrap up, it's essential to remember that these concepts are not static or universal. They evolve and change with time and society. They are tools for understanding our world and ourselves better. Remember, the beauty of knowledge lies in its application. So ponder over these concepts and see how they resonate with your observations of the world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning,